Hey, everybody, you're listening to the Songwriters Across Texas podcast, where we get to know musicians through their stories and hear some of their music. I'm your host, Karl Anderson. Today, we're at Arlyn Studios in Austin, Texas, with Ephraim Owens as my special guest.
Hey.
As a third grader growing up in Dallas, Texas, Ephraim Owens started training to play classical trumpet. He was a very serious student from day one. In the ninth grade at music school, one day he saw the legendary Roy Hargrove, and after that, he knew he had to learn jazz. He continued his studies all through music school at Southwest Texas State University, which is now known as Texas State. After graduation, he moved to Austin and was immediately embraced by the music scene, kicking off what so far has been a 25-year career in the capital city and a regular gig at both the Elephant Room and the Continental Gallery. Ephraim's hustle in Austin led him to become perhaps the music capital's greatest trumpet export. He's toured with Sheryl Crow, Mumford and Sons, Tedeschi Trucks, many more. One of the great prides of Austin music. Please welcome to the show with me, Ephraim Owens. Hey, Ephraim.
Hey, what's happening?
Good to see you, man. You got to let's lead off with a song right away, if you don't mind.
All right. So I'm gonna play a tune that I wrote in the Southwest Texas days. It's entitled "Cradle by Grace."
Cradle by Grace.
Yeah. So it's kind of a prayer tune, and it was gifted to me overnight, and yeah, it was through like kind of a rough time in college, and you have grace. There's a positive side to this what you're going through right now. So anyway, here we go with it. There's that. Now,
That brought a tear to my eye, man. I felt like I had arms around me.
hey, there it is.
That was.
You've been cradled.
That's it. I mean, I really did feel like I just got cradled. I shut my eyes. I was like, I can watch this later. I'm going to shut them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Great job, man. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm glad to be a part of it. Thanks for asking me.
I would like to start off with your beginnings. You have a very unique story where you started very young, and it's kind of an unusual situation.
Well, kids are kids, and yeah, I was coerced by friends of mine in school.
Up in Dallas,
Up
right?
in Dallas, yeah. Bertie Alexander is where I went.
Okay.
And yeah, I was kind of forced to get in band.
At an early age.
Yeah, I was 8.
8.
8.
Third grade?
Third grade. That's right.
Sounds right.
Is that right? It's like, yeah.
Around there.
Was I supposed to be 5? Yeah.
Second.
No.
Yeah. But so they were like, you're going to play with us in this band.
Yeah, we're in band. We want you to get in band and get a cornet. And so I had to go to my mom's and dad and like, I want to be in band. I was like, I don't want to be in band. Band wasn't even on the radar, but but God, I guess that's where I was supposed to be. So
I guess
my folks bought me a Bundy cornet, and I got to working on it. Learning classical music. That when I'm introduced into like jazz, anything in elementary school. So
right.
So classical was that, like marching songs, which is still classical.
Right. Americana stuff. But like when you say classical, though, like Beethoven and.
I graduated into that.
Right.
I played
You didn't do that in third grade.
A bunch of like John Philip Sousa,
Right. American classical.
Yeah, and so that was happening from third, till sixth grade. Then more advanced. So I was reading all the time, So my band director would constantly give me tunes, like charted music, and I go to the practice rooms and I take it home and that, that's how I spent a lot of my time just shedding on. I love playing classical.
Right.
The tones and all, the accents and, everything about it, and I got really good. I won a bunch of awards then,
So how old were you when it started to become, okay, I'm going to do this for real? Like, was it that kind of the whole
fourth
time?
grade, Mr. Oppenheimer at the time, he saw something, and I was like a bunch of the cats couldn't learn the music, so it was like I was asked my first in front of an audience solo kind of trumpet with certain individuals in the orchestra, the classical band. I played Born Free. I played about 3 songs. And that was like my introduction. I was just like,
oh yeah.
But I knew my music, so I got through that fine, and built some confidence. And
So you started performing in front of people pretty young. So by probably, but you went and then you got into music school before college. So it was music.
Yeah, I had to audition to go, to get into arts. Arts magnet.
That's also in Dallas?
That's in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to Bertie Alexander Elementary, D.A. Halsey, 7th and 8th grade. And I was still, at that time I had a couple of neighbors, Devin Parker and Floyd.
Nice, Devin and Floyd.
Floyd. We used to practice together because we stayed in the same neighborhood. So we go over to each other's house. And
trying to stay out of trouble a little bit?
My folks were making sure of that, And we just practiced. Devin could read really well. Devin and Floyd could read really well. And Floyd could read and play high, I never got that, but that part. But we practiced together all the time, and then by then I was playing real classical, tunes, Handel and
wow.
I look back at the music now and it's like, wow. It's like pretty.
At such an early age
intense.
to be able to do that, and play it.
Well, if you're practicing like I was, then
practice. That's always it, right?
Yeah, put yourself in that element,
Is that also when you went to that school when you had to move to trumpet from cornet?
So from middle school into high school. I auditioned on cornet.
Uh-huh.
And then that's when the jazz band director and the classical director, both of them trumpet players, they were like, well, you're going to have to get a trumpet, and you're going to have to bring up your grades in math, And they were like, And, I played, and they liked, they liked my tone, and so it was like, you do this, and then you can get into school. And I did that, and I got into the school.
Great.
Yeah, so now I'm at arts,
Yeah, you're at arts.
Yep.
And still progressing into all this knowledge of music.
Absolutely.
Is this where you met Roy Hargrove for the first time? Is that where that happened?
Yeah, that's where I viewed and heard him. And
Tell me about that and who Roy is and what he meant to you, if you don't mind.
he's a hero. He's a young legend. They called him, and it was a crew of cats back then. Christian McBride, Joshua Redmond. Like Roy was a senior when I was a freshman.
Okay.
And but he was already out touring with the heavy, like the legends. You put albums on to, try to learn.
Right.
So he's playing with these cats in high school.
Right.
Like from 9th grade when he got there, he was already like known.
So he was like a savant kind of thing.
He was definitely a prodigy.
Yeah, prodigy.
Perfect pitch. He can do this on the piano, and he was like, could tell you what all the notes were, and
Right.
Didn't have to have an instrument to write out charts,
Wow.
So he was. I'm not the only one that was affected by him like that.
What did he do for you that was in those days? I mean, obviously, just hearing him did something for you, but
yeah, he was willing to spend a little time. I could tell I was annoying a little bit, but I was hungry.
Little brother.
Yeah, yeah. He saw that hunger, and so he fed me, some good knowledge and things how to approach, like improvising, or like transcribing, like your heroes or solos, It's like, you don't have to, because I used to write out the whole, like I picked Chet Baker. I think he was my first solo that I learned his solo on trumpet first, and then hand scripted, rewound the tape, 4 bars at a time or whatever.
Right.
And
Press stop.
stop. Yeah. Try to, and
Great exercise.
yeah. You get quicker and quicker when you do that. You start seeing patterns. You start seeing 2-5-1. You start seeing y'all. That's in the other song. That's in the other. So linking all those things together. But he was like, yeah, you don't have to do the whole solo. Just pick what you like.
I got you.
So pick all the sweet spots out and try to incorporate that into your own plan. And also find the musicians that you can relate to, musically, theoretically, which for me would be him and Clifford Brown, Kenny Dorham, Lee Morgan, Blue Mitchell, those guys, Chet Baker. And then, learned, a bunch more afterwards,
Sure. But those first ones, they're so important.
Yeah.
Because they really are the beginning of where you get your own foundation.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't only him. I can't give him all the credit. It's like a bunch of his, colleagues, Whitney Russell, and then you had Keith Anderson and Keith Loftus. And
they were all at school with you?
Yeah,
And
I was the baby of the bunch.
Right.
Out of, trying to learn, and I learned how to do trade fours, like in the jazz thing. My dad would, take me to school early in the morning and drop me off, and so I could go and hear them play in the morning before class started.
Right.
And they'd be playing jazz and they'd be trading fours with each other, and then class was starting in. And then we into school, but
When did you start trading fours after that? It's like,
No, not that took a while to get on my belt.
it's not one of those things that just comes easy.
No, not at all. Oh.
That was a little drink break right there. So you're learning all this stuff. Then where do you go from there?
Well, then the scene,
The scene.
go out and Whitney was good for dragging me out. Like he's another trumpet player, same year as Roy, and he stayed in my neighborhood too. So he would come by the house, and then I had this keyboard, and then I started learning kind of like approaches of scales and writing
On the keyboard?
Yeah. And I mean, you find patterns on the keyboard, or just trumpet, but he was always on the keyboard and I played trumpet, and yeah, he was always writing tunes or licking it up, and then he would sneak me into clubs and, or restaurants that he was playing at, and so
Was that hard to do or not really?
I mean, it was very uncomfortable, because
You were still pretty young, right?
Yeah, and and it takes a certain attitude to be convincible, as you walking into this club looking like a baby, So he taught me, how to get in clubs and just put the horn on your back and act like you with the band,
Yeah.
Just like paint a mustache or something, put some hair on my chin, But,
Right.
But I mean,
Was he getting up on stage then? Like,
oh, he was he was a thing, he was playing, had his gigs, he's a super hustler, he always had double things going on. So after I got good enough, Whitney would he'd double book himself, and then he'll give me a gig, and then he'd take half of my money, and then he'd come finish the gig with me on keyboards, and I'm playing trumpet, so he'll do his gig already, and book that gig early enough for him to come over and did my gig,
Jeez.
I mean, he was one to learn from.
Yeah.
But he kept me playing, kept me,
he got you
learning,
gigs.
got me gigs.
Books you gigs through his own gig. That's remarkable. I love it.
Yeah.
And I like how he took his cut.
Yeah, it's like,
That's
hey,
great.
dude, I would have done it for free,
Right.
Yeah.
But that's some of your real first experiences playing that music in front of people, yeah?
That music, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you'd already played the classical in front of everybody. for a
Right,
long,
and I
long,
played
long
in
time.
church too. And I was learning, bad keys in church, because
What do you mean bad keys?
I mean, A's and E's and keys that translate differently on trumpet.
Oh,
So
I
like
see.
A's is my B, which is 5 sharps. It's like finger twister keys. So
I get it.
I would and it was strictly improv in that church.
Right.
Too. So I was working on soloing and learning my keys. And so I was doing that, and then the jazz clubs too.
How would you feel coming at, as you're learning it and you play, let's say you played at church and and when you were done, did you feel like you were good, or how long did it take you till you started to really feel like you were?
We're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
I still don't know. It's like, there's still room for. Yeah, it's,
That's a fantastic.
I knew I was good, I mean, I guess when I got the confidence to play in church, and know I was about to get handed something I'm not familiar with, it took a while to get, comfortable with that.
Learning that genre.
Yeah. That and the keys,
The keys help you write. Do you write a lot?
I used to. I'm getting back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I used to write all the time in high school, like, I don't know, 3 songs a day.
Wow.
Yeah, like, or sketches, like
Yeah.
bits and pieces, and then come back to them. But I was always pumping out something,
I guess when you get on the road with people, it's harder to be in the writing mode when you're traveling so much. When you can't be writing 3 songs a day when you're out touring with Sheryl Crow.
No, I mean, I was writing out her songs, you know.
Right.
Yeah, you know, because I got the gig with her through Doyle Bramhall Jr.
Uh-huh.
And it was wide open enough for me. Like Doyle said, I thought he was kidding around. He called me up, and he was just like, "Man, you want to do a gig with Sheryl Crow?" You know, and I was just like, "Man, shut up." And he's like, "No, seriously, you want me? There's a gig, you know. You can pick, you know, whoever you want to play with, you know, or play with you, and trombone. We want trombone and sax,
right?
You know, so trumpet, trombone, and sax. And then they cut out the trombone. They were just like, whoever you want to use on sax, you know. So it's a funny thing with the road, cause you know you can be an excellent musician, but at the same time, you know, it's like you got to find somebody that has the availability to bend and you know, put time aside and be kind of on call, you know.
It, like kind of like in pro sports, I would say, like when the rookies get up, you know, that they need a little extra from the vets going, hey, this is how this works here. Is it a bit like that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you got to be able to get along. You know, you got to, you know, learn the music, you know, and be present, you know, and make sure you don't, you know, put the person that got you the gig, you know, put him to shame. You don't want to, you know, be the guy
that messes up his Doyle's reputation.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be that cat.
Right.
You know, so, but yeah, you know, so I end up getting Sheryl Crow, which is another hero of mine.
Who's that?
And lives Sheryl Crow. He's a tenor saxophonist. He sings some, plays flute, but he's super bad.
Nice.
And yeah, so I played with him a lot when I was a kid too. He's 10 years older than me, and
so great that you had access to all those guys.
Oh, it's amazing. I have an amazing life. You know, I've been blessed to be around. I mean, some greats. You know,
I don't ever want to be anybody else but me. I like being me, and I'm almost never like, gee, that'd be fun to be him. But you, I'm like, man, that guy is as cool as they make him. He travels all over the world. He likes people. He plays like crazy good, and he gets to play on big stages with some cool people. But it's your personal journey, which is just so cool to me.
Yeah.
That because you don't walk around affected. That's for sure. You know, you're not like, I'm Ephraim Owens, and you guys go, bow. You're like, you know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, some people get like that.
Yeah, I've run across some of that, but I mean,
especially in show business.
Yeah.
You know, but I just think and so let's maybe talk about some of the other acts that you played with, like Tedeschi Trucks and Mumford and Sons, for goodness sakes.
Well, Mumford and Sons, Sheryl, you know, it was huge audiences and fun gigs, and you know, one thing, she was a sweetheart. She still is, you know. And we always broke bread, like we always ate together.
Nice.
You know, and that lasted almost a year, and you know, she changed directions. But she gave, you know, Shelly and I, like, I mean, a lot of stuff we don't have horn parts to, you know, so we had to make we'd make up our own parts. If Jeff Babco, you know, her keyboard player, if he didn't beat us to it, you know,
I got you.
because he's another one cats that's just a pitch and he can just jot something down and then, you know,
right?
Because I think he could see us, you know, I wouldn't say struggling, but he had the answer before we did. You know, he's been playing with it forever, you know, and but
so he was quicker to the point.
Yeah, you know, it's like when you spend time with someone, you know their flow, you know, and what's going to work, and you put that in this place, and, you know, don't put that in that place, you know. And,
right.
That was a beautiful situation, you know. She sent gifts, you know, I mean, something, you know, she did things that she didn't have to do being who she is, you know.
Sure.
And, you know, Mumford and Sons, it wasn't we write our own tunes, you know, it was a show. You know, so it was like.
So your parts were already written.
Yeah.
We need you to come and hit that. How many horns were in that band?
It was 2 trumpets. Actually, Nick's coming in tomorrow. He's in New Orleans. He's a trumpet player.
Nice.
And then it was trombone. So 2 trumpets, trombone, and then we had fiddle, which the fiddle player got me in with Mumford, and somebody else. Sorry, I'm forgetting who that might have been. But Ross Holmes got me in that band, and so it was 2 cello and then 2 fiddle and violin, viola.
That's a lot of bodies on stage.
Yeah, and then you had the 4 up front.
How many people were at those Mumford and Sons shows?
Thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Arenas?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like...
Is it fun to be on stage in an arena playing your horn?
Yeah, it's amazing, man. It's it's surreal, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, lights and I mean, I look back sometimes and, you know, I'm still amazed that really happened.
Right.
You know, and then you move on to Tedeschi then, and it's a 12-piece band, you know, 3 horns, 2 drummers, 3 background vocalists, you know, and organ player, bass, then Derek and Sue, and it's all these entities within that the band format to where we all write individually. So the vocalists, they'll do their thing, the horns, we'll do our thing, it's a rhythm section, you know, and then bring it all together and rehearse and see what works. And
Right.
yeah, you know, so we have liberties to do our own thing as sections, you know.
Nice.
And
That's with Tedeschi Trucks, right?
Yeah, that's with Tedeschi, yeah. And, you know, I got the gig, and then they flew me in, and pretty much went right into rehearsals, you know. And I was just like, oh, yeah, I mean, it felt like a show.
Nice.
It scared the shit out of me, people. Yeah, it was real, you know, like Sue was belting it out, and Derek, it was just like being on stage. And I'm like, oh, chops. And yeah, we played, you know, rehearsed for about 2 hours, and then we broke bread in their house, you know, with them at the round table, and got to know each other, you know. I was I was the new one at that point, you know, and then went back to rehearsals, you know.
Right.
And I left that night, and I had a big old bead up under my lip, you know, and I had to pray that night, like, Lord, if I'm supposed to have this gig, do something with this, you know.
Wow.
And next day, I looked like Homer Simpson. And it was like, you know, ouch.
Were they a little forgiving about it, or did you pass
I didn't
it
let
off?
them. I didn't. I mean, I didn't tell them. You know, I'm not.
Yeah, right.
I'm not wussing out
You
like
put-
that.
you
I
can
painted it through. You know.
You play hurt, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've learned how to play hurt.
What about how do people respond to you when you come off of a stage like that? You know, like if somebody just watched you when you were with Mumford and Sons, and then you come off the stage and it's backstage, and there's people who, and then you go outside and someone just saw the concert and they go, "Hey, you were the horn player," right? I mean, but how has that interaction been? I guess is what I'm getting at.
I mean, you know, it's welcoming. You know, it's overwhelming too sometimes. You know, when you come off stage and you kind of just want to go and get on the bus. But you know, I mean, there's a need to. You know, and some nights you feel like really doing it. Some nights it's just like I just want to go and lay in my bunk. I don't want to eat. You know.
Yes.
But normally, you know, in all the situations I've been in, it's like me and whoever else in the band that want to go and I want to play some more. So we comb around, you know, look up places that might have some jazz somewhere and go and hit some clubs if there's
That's
something
cool.
going on. Yeah. So
I'm sure the clubs like that too. I mean, you walk in at a foreign city or whatever, and you're like, "Hey, we just got done with Sheryl Crow, and we wanted to come in here and chant."
though.
Oh, you don't? You don't even say it?
No.
You just show up and say, "You guys got a spot for me."
Not quite like that, you know.
See, I'm not as
Can
cool.
we
I'm
play?
not as cool as you.
Yeah. Just like, you know, somebody like a jam session. If the jam session happened, it's just like, yeah, play trumpet from blah blah blah, and they can look at us and tell that we're musicians,
Of course.
And yeah, normally we welcome, and then sometimes fans are there and they'll come up and it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's switch to the Austin local, the Elephant Room in the Continental Gallery, and let's talk about how you were brought into there and what that means to you as well.
Yeah, the Elephant Room was the first place I went to. Me and Fred Sanders, because we came down together from Dallas, from Weatherford Junior College.
Weatherford Junior.
And we both had scholarships to go to Southwest. But we want to check and see what the scene was like. We heard about the Elephant Room, and we went there, and it was a trio playing, and it was Bob Meyer, and he was playing piano, and I think piano and tenor saxophone and trumpet or something like that.
Wow.
He was playing like three things,
Right.
Not at the same time, but
Yeah.
But and then it was, I think it might have been John Fremgen. Anyway, there was a band that was at a Gingerbread Man.
Yeah.
You remember them?
Sure, I do. Yeah, absolutely.
So they were down there just hanging out, and me and Fred, we didn't have any money, so we were gonna just stay in our car, and we got up and played, and Gingerbread, those guys, they were real sweet, and they were just like, what y'all doing later? Sleeping in the car, and they let us go to their crib and crash out there, and we ate, they fed us, and
wow.
And I'm like, that's the first, so I kind of got just through that,
That's great.
kind of hook, line, and sinker.
Come on in.
Oh, they all like that in Austin,
Right.
And then I found out that's a very Austin thing, just to, it's very fitting of my spirit too, so it's like.
I love that about Austin. Me too. You let people surf your couch if you got one, and you are not scared to surf on someone else's couch.
Yeah. It's, it was my first. I was de-virginized at that moment, And,
The Gingerbread Man.
Yeah. I still, here and there talk to Henry. Henry and the Invincibles. He's doing great.
Good.
And yeah, I still run into those cats. Those are the good days. We all were hanging on 6th Street playing, Mercury, and
Yeah.
I was down there 5-6 nights a week. That's how I kind of gained it. I think a name here was just, I was sitting in everywhere, I was trying to check out stuff.
I remember that. I mean, I was certainly here, and you played on Casey Crowley's record, in I think '97 it was, or whatever, somewhere around there, or '99 maybe, somewhere there. But you were sort of new in town, and everybody was talking about this guy Ephraim on the trumpet, and it was, and then you come, and then I suppose everyone wanted you in on their sessions.
Yeah, I did a lot of different stuff. Still have, still doing a bunch of
What about
different
the gallery up, the Continental Gallery?
Yeah, Steve. I've been doing that gig for 15 years, and
Who? And it's Brandon
and
Temple on drums.
Well, that came later.
Okay.
Because I was doing that with I didn't even have drums in the beginning, and that wasn't even the idea of having a staple band. I wanted to that's the thing with all the music that I've played. I wanted to have that. I still may, but have a bunch of my friends that's not even necessarily jazz related. Seth Walker come and do some songs, but it was easier for me to, stick with one thing. So I had bass, Chris Marsh and Rich Harney,
Right.
Playing piano up there for some years, and then I added drums, and then I think I don't even think it was Brandon then. And then before Black, Red, and Black, I had him in Red playing with me at the gallery, and
Black,
and then
Red,
we were
Black
doing
was
that
Yeah.
on the other side, over at 121. And I like the freedom of it, where it's not like having to have a set list, and we gotta this tune,
Right.
just play and end it, or or you go into another, just whatever, just be musical and have fun, So that's been healthy, I think, for all of us.
Yeah.
And
Austin is actually really good at supporting
Absolutely.
that kind of thing. That people come out, and they will always come out, even if it, sometimes they're smaller crowds depending on nights or whatever, or weather, whatever. But someone's gonna come out and be like, "Thank you for being here. Here's some money in your tip jar."
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my favorite part about Austin, living here, is that the quality of musicianship that you can see any night of the week, and see it up close.
Yeah, and it's tricky with like residencies. It's like, do you want to do a gig every Tuesday?
Right.
Because eventually, like you say, you're gonna be playing to like candles and chairs and 3 people. Because it's like, the other people are thinking, well, we can see them next week, so they all could be thinking that about,
Right.
yeah, we're gonna see them next week, and there's crickets in there,
Right.
But it's still, it's fun playing,
But I always say that I thought that the stages here allowed everyone to go out and be great on the road, because you keep your chops up with a lot of great players.
Yeah. It's it's kind of unheard of to like I've been going out and on, since 2011, and I've always had the Elephant Room gigs and the gallery gigs. I come home to work, and
Everyone's waiting for you.
Yeah, it's a good feeling, So thank y'all.
Austin's very happy to have you that you stay hubbed here, and I will speak for Austin on its behalf by saying that. Ephraim, how do you treat songwriting? I know you told me you write on the piano sometimes.
Yeah. Normally melodies come first, and then if I have a strong enough melody, I'll put a bass line or something, to support the melody. And then sometimes it takes me forever to find the right chords to fit with the melody and the bass line. So, and sometimes the bass line comes, and it's all like
it's when it comes when it comes, right?
Yeah,
Each
like
part.
I could be sitting down and just poorly playing chords on the piano, and something to ring, and then it's like, okay, I can work with that, kind of like Cradle by Grace. It was just like the melody came, and then it was like with that, the idea of that song was like, it's a song like titles give you, like it provokes a feeling, like when I do recording sessions, I want to know the name of the song so I can, know how to approach it. If it's dark, then I'm not gonna play something happy, but like with Cradle by Grace, it was like kind of melancholy or I don't want to say despair, I want to say just kind of heavy, but then, being Cradled by Grace, then it's like, well, there's grace, and there's, there should be like a beam of light at the end of it all, like things gonna be all right. So it's like trying to find those chords and voices and what's fitting to deliver that message within the song, that's a route, The tune that I play a lot is this tune Momoci that I wrote at my girlfriend's house at the time in high school.
Yeah.
Like my freshman year or something. And it was on her raggedy out of tune piano, and it was just this melody that came. Of course, it's it's morphed into what it is now, but it was just a melody, and then Yeah, then I think I put the bass line and put a bridge on it, and because it was just like a little snippet of an idea.
Uh-huh.
And then just repeated that idea. It's just like, this would go somewhere. So I, led it to, another, idea that connected the two, and then there's the song.
Like putting together a puzzle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's all it is,
Totally. And a lot of listening.
Yeah. And chance taking, Yeah.
Or which means you try it out. If it doesn't work, throw it out, right?
Yeah.
But that is a chance still, and people get caught up before they even take a chance sometimes.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's and then then you get into rhythm and like what kind of groove do you want on it? Like Brandon put, because I had it as a swing, like Momoci, I had that as a swing tune, and he's just like, Brandon was like, let's try this, and he writes different, and he has a lot of ideas, and he's a chance taker,
I've seen him with the Peterson brothers fairly recently, because they're so young, kind of like with you had your help when you needed it. We all had our help when we were younger. I really just enjoyed watching him with them, because those guys are crazy good.
They're great. I recorded on their last album. And it's a good album.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray Angry came in and laid down some good producing
Thanks a lot for being here. Let's we got another song.
So we're gonna play. I'm gonna play Momoci. There it is.
Beautiful. Ephraim Owens. Hey, man, what a wonderful treat. Thank you so much for coming on our show. If you'd like to see more of this episode, please go to the Songwriters Across Texas YouTube channel and watch the whole thing. Ephraim Owens, thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
All right. And that's a wrap.